Okay, hi everyone. We are going to get started here soon with the customer success webinar today, which will be covering the Chapter 13 plan calculator and the editor, which is a part of the Chapter 13 plan package. So I just put a quick note, and let me fix my screen here real quick. So I put a note in here, just if you have any audio issues as we go through today. I do have some instructions for some things you can try to fix that. You can go to the Get Audio Help in the lower left corner, and you can switch to compatibility mode. That's the first thing you can try out. And then if you have any questions as you get going, just feel free to send a message in the chat. And at the very end, we'll go through and answer any questions you have. I did want to note for today's webinar, there are 94 districts, and some use the national plan, some have their own plan. So for the sake of covering as many people as we can, today I'm going to focus a little bit on the national plan, which is very similar to a lot of the other plans and should give you a general idea of how to use the treatments, and it's similar across the board. But if you have any specific questions for your district plan that it's not the national plan, please feel free to send me a message. You can put it through in the chat, or you can reach out to us at the chat in the app afterward, and I'd be happy to answer any specific plan. But I didn't want to go too much into the other district plans since it's not going to apply to everyone. But I feel like the training today is going to be able to help you regardless of what district you're working in. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into a case here. So the first thing I wanted to go over is where we're pulling a lot of the information from into the calculator and the plan itself before we dive into that. So the first thing is for any mortgages and secured claims, I did want to point out a few things that we pull the information from earlier in the plan, or I'm sorry, in the case itself that's going to go into the plan. So for example, if you're adding a mortgage on a property, one important thing that you'll want to indicate when you're adding in that lien, down here we ask you if it's a mortgage. So if it's a real estate tax lien, judicial lien, we need to know if it's actually a mortgage or another type of lien on this asset. And that's just going to affect how we insert that into the plan, and then also just giving you that option to pay it conduit through the plan or to pay it outside as well. Another thing in here, this goes for vehicles and for the mortgages, is if there is an arrearage amount, we will add that as a separate claim so that if you want to indicate that the arrearages should be paid inside or outside of the plan, we would need to know that here. So in this example, we're going to add the Apple Core mortgage as a mortgage into the plan. You would have the option to adjust the treatment, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But then we would also add a separate claim for this arrearage amount. And then that will allow us to insert treatment for the arrearages as well. Another thing I want to point out, this goes for mortgages and for all liens on attached to any assets. We do use this intent here for Chapter 13s. So if you indicate that this is going to be a property that's surrendered, then we would indicate that in the Chapter 13 calculator for you. So you do want to make sure you have the correct intent here as well, and that will update how we're going to apply this into the calculator. The next thing I wanted to show here, we do also add in any leases. And what's important with the lease is down here we have a drop down for the type of lease. So if this is for real estate, or let's say, it's a Verizon contract, we do want you to indicate that here so that we know if this should be added into the plan as an actual car lease where you're going to specify any treatment, or if it shouldn't be. And then just like with the secured claims, you do need to indicate the intent. A lot of plans only want us to show any leases that are assumed, and either they'll ask to omit any rejected leases, or sometimes they'll ask to have a specific section for those. So we do need you to indicate that here so that NextChapter can know where to apply this lease into the plan itself. And then lastly, one important thing you want to make sure you have before you move on to actually editing the calculator and the plan is your attorney fees. So in the miscellaneous and attorney and credit counseling fees section, we will use the attorney fee balance that has been listed here. So in this example, we show the full fees are $3,000, but the clients paid $2,000. So when we get to the calculator, I'll show in a second here, you'll see that $1,000 is owed, and then that's going to be applied into the plan then. Okay, so we are pulling all that information from those sections I just showed. And then when you're ready to go to the calculator, it's going to pull all of those claims into this section. So the top portion here is going to be an asset table. It's going to have all of your claims. And they're categorized here by the secured. Then you'll see all of your priority leases. And then at the bottom, you'll see all your unsecureds. And then this one here, all of them are showing in the table. But if there are, cases have 30, 40, 50 claims, you can actually scroll through in this top section. And we show about, looks like about 10 or 12 in this section. So you can scroll through to see them all. So what I would recommend when you come to this section is starting out by going through. On this side, next to all of the claims, we have the option for you to add plan treatment. This is a test case here. So you can see some of these say add treatment and some say edit treatment. When you first go into the calculator, they're all going to say add. And that's kind of a way for you to see which claims you haven't added any treatment into. You don't always have to add treatment in, but I would definitely recommend for all of your secureds, most likely you'll need to go in and create some type of treatment for the application of the plan. So this one's already been edited, but again, they'd say add, and once you click on them, they'll say edit. So I'm going to start here with the mortgage. So as I mentioned, you're going to see two claims if you add in arrearages. This here is going to be our secured, the full balance. This would be the ongoing payment that's going to outlast the plan. Then we break it down for that arrearage claim too, so that you can easily apply in those treatments. A lot of times, some trustees want to see that conduit paid through the plan or outside of the plan, and same with the arrearages. So you can apply in exactly what needs to happen. So for this example, when I open this up, I get a little bit more information about the claim here at the top. And then there's that intent. Let's say this said surrendered and I didn't want it to be surrendered. I can actually click revisit claim and it's going to take me back to that, and I can edit any of this information here. But this is just a nice double check for that claim section. On the bottom here, we're going to see what the secured balance is. Because I have this default to being paid conduit, meaning the monthly payment is what's going to be paid each month through the plan, regardless of the balance. This balance is not added into the total debt because it is a ongoing long-term claim that's going to outlast the plan itself. So we show this balance in here. The only time it would be applied into the balance is if I chose this fourth option, which is to pay the mortgage in full through the plan. So if we've got a mortgage that's actually going to pay off within the 3 to 5 years, if it's just a couple $1,000s left, I can click this. That's going to actually recalculate the whole calculator to include this balance, which in this example would be adding $250,000. So that option is there if you did have one of those rare situations where the mortgage is actually going to pay in full through the plan. For a secured mortgage, generally you're not going to need to worry about this unsecured balance. It is an option, again, if you are going to pay it full in the plan. And for some reason, if your district's allowing you to cram down that mortgage, you could override and say what portion of it's going to be paid at 100% paid in full. And then we would create that additional cram down unsecured claim if necessary. Again, rare scenarios, but I did want to show those options are available. And then here we're showing you the monthly payment. This is what you had listed in the secured claim section and in Schedule D. If necessary, let's say you had filed the case, came back in, and now you're filing the plan. And since then the mortgage has increased or decreased that monthly payment, you can override that directly in here. And that's what will apply into the plan. And then also you can indicate if it's just going to be paid outside, or if your plan wants to specifically know if it's being paid outside by a co-debtor, you do have those two options. Selecting that is going to remove this monthly payment from the plan payment. But for this one, I'm just going to show it as a conduit. So this one, we would be adding $12.50 a month to that monthly payment. I'm going to save that. So you might have saw down there, when I click save, there's a little wheel. It actually updates a lot of the plan information down here every time I make any claim edits. So now for the arrearages, same thing applies. I can come in here and indicate we don't have the conduit option. We just have the option to either take this arrearage balance and apply it into the plan or outside of the plan. If there is an interest rate, I can amortize. I can add in that interest. And right now the plan doesn't automatically calculate this interest rate, so you can add it in here. This simply gets plugged into the plan, indicating what that interest rate is. We give you a link if you want to see what the current US prime rate is. And then once you use our amortizing tool here, you can put in that amortized balance. And this is what's going to be applied in. So when I save, again, that recalculates. For any vehicles, I'm going to show the treatments we have available for those. So I'm going to start with this Jeep. So what's different with a vehicle and any secured claim that's not attached to the real estate, we do have additional options for the treatment. So first you'd want to indicate if it's going to be inside or outside the plan. And then you can also indicate if this is going to be a 506 subject to a cram down, or if it is excluded. So if it's a 910 vehicle and any of the requisites apply for that. So what I can do, again, I can amortize, add in any interest. So if this was actually a 910, I'm not going to cram it down. All I need to do is add in my interest rate. We will calculate the monthly payment based on the balance and the plan length. So if I added in the interest, that's big. As I did that, you can see down here this monthly payment automatically calculated for me, taking this balance with the interest that I applied and dividing it by the 60 months, which is what I have set for the plan length. But if you need to, you can also override this monthly payment as well. So we do a lot of calculating for you, and then also allowing you to adjust it as needed too. And then I can add in whatever my interest rate is and save that. So that's going to update the total debt and add in that additional interest as well. So you do always want to make sure you go in and add in that interest, so it does update that total debt, which will ultimately update your total plan payment. Next, I'm going to show you how to cram down the lien. So if this was a vehicle where I'm going to be cramming down because the secured balance is actually, or I'm sorry, the claim itself is higher than the value. So if this was actually only valued at $8,000, I can override the secured balance. Now I have an unsecured claim of $2,000, and then I can amortize that $8,000 to add in my interest. That again adjusted that monthly payment based on this amortized balance. Indicate what my interest rate is, and then over here I would just want to mark that this is a 506 claim. So these two options here just tell us pretty much every single plan wants to know what's going to be a 506 or a 910 as it's kind of referred to. So you do want to make sure you mark those, and that's going to tell the system where to put that in the plan. And then I mark that this is paid inside the plan. Save and close. So that was for this USA Bank here. As you can see, that reduced it down to $8,000 for the secured balance. And then if I scroll down, now I have a new unsecured claim at the bottom here for the deficiency of the $2,000. Priority claims are listed in this section as well. So you can come in here and add in any interest rate, and just as before, override either the balance or the monthly payment and indicate how it's going to be paid. And then for a lease, we actually show the full balance. And I'm actually going to edit the lease in this one for a better example here. We will, just like we do with the secured claims and the mortgages, this applies a lot with leases. If there is an arrearage on the lease, you can add that in. I know a lot of plans want the arrearages sometimes paid through the plan, but then the balance to be paid outside of the plan. So when I edited that lease back in the executory contract section, I added in this arrearage here. So what I can do, if that's how your district prefers, you can say that this monthly payment should be paid outside of the plan, and then the arrearages would be paid inside of the plan. It's important to differentiate between the lease balance and the arrearage balance because a lot of the plans do want to know specifically how much the lease is behind. So marking it as arrearage is important for how it's going to be classified. And then next, at the very bottom, grayed out here is going to be all of your unsecured claims. The unsecured claims are grayed out because they're essentially going to be receiving the same treatment, which is going to be the unsecured percentage. So when you first start out, all of these will say add special treatment. You really only need to add this in if there truly is a special treatment and it's a claim that's going to vary from the rest of the general unsecured claims. So you don't need to go in and add the unsecured percentage for each and every one of these if they're the same. All you would need to do is come down here to the calculator portion, which is below that asset table, and indicate the percentage for that you would like the unsecured claims to be paid back at. So in this example, all of these claims are going to be paid back at 50%, and below that's going to be the pot amount. So we're taking that total balance for all your unsecured claims and applying this unsecured percentage, and you can see the total that all of those claims will receive. If I were to add in a special treatment to say, if it's a co-debtor claim and you want to pay it outside of the plan so that it receives, the regular monthly payments, it's going to remove that from this pot because it's not a part of the general unsecured claims. So I do want to clarify that. Sometimes that's confusing to not know where that's going, but this is just for general unsecured claims because a lot of the plans do ask to see what this pot amount is. The plans will say, many times they'll say, is it going to be a percentage or a portion of the pot? So that's why we're using this amount here. And then a lot of times they separate out any of the special unsecured claims. What I really like about the plan down here is we take this unsecured percentage in this pot, so this field and the pot amount and the total plan payment, they all work together. You can work, it's kind of up to the attorney and the paralegal what your preference is on figuring out this total plan payment. So if I know that it's a plan that I just need to pay back 100%, I can say 100% be paid on the unsecured percentage. That's going to automatically recalculate that total amount. So I can see, this is a nice way if you want to quickly see what's the total amount owed to all the unsecured creditors. It's going to update right here if none of them have special treatment. So I can see it's about $21,000 owed to all the unsecured creditors. And that also adjusted my total plan payment. How we get to this number is we're using the total debt and the amount that we're paying. So the total debt is going to be all your secured claims, everything that's being paid at 100% plus any interest rate that you've added in, plus our attorney fees. So here's that $1,000 where we showed earlier in the miscellaneous, I indicated, we show that here. And if there's an ongoing conduit payment, this is simply added per month. So what we do is we take this total balance plus the attorney fees plus the trustee fee, which you indicate here, and we calculate that based on the plan length. So I've currently got this set at 60 months, 5 years. If I wanted to see if it's below median income, if I'm able to do a 3-year, I can adjust that plan length and it recalculates everything for me, making that plan payment much higher. And then if I need to adjust that back, I can simply switch that over. So one other thing we show is kind of a tool to help you get to the best plan payment for the debtor is we're going to show you the current disposable income from Schedule J. So this has $878.64. So if I go back to the expense section, I can kind of show you where that's pulling from. So we've already had our income entered from Schedule I, and then we apply in the Schedule J expenses, and that's the balance. So what we're showing you is that available disposable income that can be used towards a Chapter 13 plan to the trustee. So we have that there as a guide to help you figure out what they have left and what kind of is a goal of what you're trying to get towards. The other thing we show here is the plan payment needed on Schedule J. So if you kind of want to work backwards, again, you can do it either way. What we're showing here is the total plan payment based on everything, all the treatment that you have entered for the claims, the length, the trustee's fees, the unsecured percentage. We're telling you how much the debtor would have to pay per month minus any attorney fees. I'm sorry, minus the mortgage payment, because this is on Schedule J. So if you wanted to use this treatment, but you need to update Schedule J, you would need to have $1,157 left over from Schedule J on that disposable income if you wanted to work that way as well. And down here, if we were to indicate, if I take the mortgage and I actually want it to be paid outside the plan, when I update that, that removed that mortgage payment down here. And then it also adjusted the plan payment needed on Schedule J. It actually matches the total plan payment because it removed, we don't have the mortgage payment in the total plan payment now. So it's simply the debt that's here plus the trustee's fees divided by the plan length is how we're getting that there. So when I come through here, it's pretty close. It looks like the total plan payment in this scenario right now is a little bit higher than the disposable income we have left on J. So it would be very difficult for this debtor to feasibly pay that each month. So what I can do is come over here and I can either adjust the unsecured percentage, or if I know if my trustee likes to work more in lump sums of what's going to be paid back to my unsecured creditors, I can say, okay, well, what if I paid them back $15,000? Okay, it looks like that would be about 72%. So you can go either way on those. And then you can kind of just keep playing with this and it automatically updates that total plan payment. So when I reduced it down to 50%, now we're looking at about $840 each month to pay off all the debts in this plan. And then that's a little bit closer to what that Schedule J is. We have the option here for you to round to the nearest whole dollar. That again is district specific. So if that's what your trustee wants, we can do that. Otherwise, you can remove it if you want it down with the cents on there as well. Once you have gone through, added all of your treatment here, and you've got this total plan payment each month to the trustee to an ideal amount, we have the option here for you to download a Chapter 13 receipt. And what this does is it actually generates a PDF. This isn't anything that's filed with the court, but if you wanted, if your trustee wanted to see it, you could provide this to the trustee. But it's more for your clients. And what this is, and let me make sure if this is showing in the, can you see the PDF? Okay, just wanted to make sure you guys could see the PDF when I clicked on it. What this is showing is a very simple breakdown of all the treatment and all of the debt that could be provided to your client. It's a nice takeaway for them to have a better understanding of how all of their debts are going to be paid. The plans themselves can be very confusing and include a lot of confusing language. So this is just more of a simplified version. We show some specifics of the plan at the top. And then we also show each of the claims, broken down by the type of claim. So secured claims here, and then the priority, and at the bottom, any unsecured non-priority. And if there's any additional plan treatment, we add that in here as well. And then we have a little note on here for the sake of the attorneys to let the client know that this is an original amount and it's subject to change. So it's just, it can vary, and obviously if the plan gets amended as well. And then I did want to go over too, so the new national plan and a lot of the new district form plans for the other districts include a new treatment to allow unsecured claims to be treated as ongoing debt. So a lot of times that's going to be for very large student loans. And I did want to show that treatment option as well. So we'll assume this bottom one here is a student loan. When I click on that here, I actually have the ability to add in some additional treatments to accommodate for those new options. So the first here is going to be a long-term claim, which is just going to be to maintain, essentially treat it like a mortgage, like a conduit. So this is for debts where the payment's going to be after the final plan payment, and then we're just going to adjust the plan to add the contractual payment to be paid through the plan. So if I select this, we will remove the balance out, and this will tell the system just each month pay $58.33 in addition to this creditor. So that is a new option. If your district uses the national form plan, that is available in the plan itself, and that's where you'll need to indicate this. The other option is a long-term claim, where again, you want to maintain that contractual payment, but then you also want to pay the arrearages inside the plan. If there is an arrearage, you would need to indicate that in the claim in the unsecured non-priority section. And when you select this, it would actually add that arrearage as a separate claim. So this is going to, again, add $58.33 a month. No matter what, it's a conduit. It's going to take the $7,000 out of the balance because it's going to outlast the plan. And then it would add in any arrearages as well. Then the third option here is if you want to just, it's going to be long-term, and you're going to, the debtor is going to maintain that contractual payment outside of the plan, but then you want the trustee to cure the arrearages inside the plan. So that will take the $7,000 and the $58.33 out of the monthly payment and the total debt, and then it's only going to add in any arrearages you had listed prior to getting to this point in the unsecured non-priority claims section here. So those are new, and so those are additional options available in there. Not all of the plans have this, but again, the national plan does, and I think we're starting to see that more and more in a lot of the other plans too. So those are available. And when you go through here, the other option as well that's different on an unsecured non-priority claim is that you can individually change the unsecured percentage. So if the exception for this one was I wanted to pay it 100%, that's going to adjust the monthly payment for me. I'm going to save it. And again, it removes it out of this pot because it is no longer a general unsecured. It's an unsecured with special treatment, but it is included in the calculation here still. And I'm going to remove that out real quick. Okay, so if I'm happy now with how the plan is set up as far as the treatment goes for each of the claims and then the calculator itself, next I can proceed on to the Chapter 13 plan. So when you start here, you'll want to click New Plan and then choose the plan that you want to use. I've already got one started here, so I'm going to go ahead and edit it. So you can save this plan at any time, and you can title it whatever you'd like. So I went ahead and renamed this one Original Plan, and I put the date. It's completely up to you and your firm. How do you want to, excuse me, title these plans? So if you want to see the rolling progression of any changes that have been made, you can date it, and then you can, in that last screen, let me go back here, I'll save this. After I've saved the plan, let's say I've filed it, and then 2 months later, the debtor's income has changed. I need to make some adjustments. If I need to amend the plan, I can easily duplicate it. So now it has copy on it. And when I edit, I can rename this whatever I'd like. So I could come in here, if it was a month later, change the date, and then call it amended if I'd like. So that's completely up to you, and that's just a nice way so you can save this as many times as needed. You're not having to completely recreate the plan, and then you don't have to edit the original plan either. You can kind of see those changes as they come through, since, you know, if you've got a long plan with a lot of changes, you want to keep track of all those amendments. So the plan itself is in an editor, so we've got all these tools up here that you can use if you need to. We do our absolute best to put these plans in to match the court's formatting. And every once in a while, we'll receive feedback from attorneys or from the court themselves, and they'll say, hey, can you adjust the font a little bit here, or can you adjust the spacing? Anything like that, let us know. You can make the edits directly in the plan here, but if it's something that is reoccurring that it would be helpful to have in all of your plans, just send us a message in the chat down here, and we can update just the main plans that get applied in and make those updates for you. But I did want to point out that we do have the editing tools up here that you can use as well. And the reason for that is we want to pull over as much information as we can into the plan, but the plans are complicated and you do need to add in some specific treatment that we can't we can't cipher from anywhere else in the plan. So you can type directly in here, anything you'd like. You can remove anything, edit anything. We give you all those tools, but ideally on a pretty simple plan, most everything's going to pull in here for you. You just need to make a few tweaks and save it and then upload it to the court site. We use this highlighting system here to indicate any sections that we did not pull any information over for. We simply just don't have the information in NextChapter. And so we want you to review it to see if it's something you need to manually update. So if this was truly an amended plan, what you could do is indicate that here. And a lot of pretty much all of the plans now have this up in the caption to indicate if it's amended or not. And then you can list what section is being amended. When you save this, these highlighted sections are actually, and I'll go ahead and export this. The highlighted sections only exist within the plan itself. So when I convert this to a PDF, as you can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit. Those highlights are gone. So it's just kind of a nice double check for you to scroll through so that you can quickly see any sections that you may need to add additional information to. Then I also wanted to show in the plan itself, the check boxes look like brackets with an O or an X in the middle. An O is an unchecked checkbox, and if I change it to an X, that'll make it a checked one. So as you can see in the PDF version, it looks different. It's an actual checkbox. Down here, you can see the same thing. So there's one that's been selected, and that's the one with the O that hasn't been selected. So if you need to change any of these, it's as simple as changing that from a lowercase o to a lowercase x, and then that'll convert it to a checkbox for you. As you go through, you'll again want to just check for any sections that have highlights that you may need to update. We do show as much information as we can. This is an example of something we're working on right now, is the ability to add in the step payments. We don't currently have that, but what attorneys have been doing is just simply adding it in directly into this section. So if you had any step payments, or you can put that here, and we are working developing on that now to have that added in, but in the meantime, you can just do it here. If you see this line with the little dashes in it, right here, that's actually a page break. You can adjust this as needed. So it's with the new plan, it's a little hard to know how long each one of the pages are going to be, because the new plan wants us to omit any sections that don't have any information being added. So that would vary from one debtor who has, one claim and the rest are unsecured, and then another one who's got 5 properties and a ton of mortgages. So you can actually add this in wherever needed as well if you'd like to. This is the button here. This is going to be your page break. So if you add that in anywhere in the plan, it'll actually stop the PDF on that page and add it to a new one. So I'll go back to the PDF to kind of show you here. So there was a page break here, and that just added it down. Now it'll naturally do it throughout and continue to add on, but if you wanted to kind of force a page break, you can do that if you'd like to. Okay, so let's scroll down to the claims here. So this is a plan that has the ongoing payment. We're pulling all of that claim information directly into this section. So you can just go through, double check, make sure you had everything that you'd like. Let's say if I forgot to add the actual interest rate on the arrearage, I can go back to the calculator and add it, and that's perfectly fine. That's probably the best way to do it, so that if you regenerate the plan, again, it's going to have that in there. But you can indicate it right here as well, and it'll save in there. Down here, you can save at any time. It's going to save everything you have as it is in the plan. If you were to adjust that interest rate in the calculator and then come back to this plan dated 6/25/18, it's not going to have that updated information. So you would just want to generate a new plan, and it'll have everything you've updated in the plan calculator section. And then here's an example. So the plan that I had, we didn't indicate any that were a 506. I didn't check any. So this says none, and the table is missing because they want you to omit that. The new plan does. Same with this here. So I could see this section. If the table's missing, doesn't have the claim, that means I didn't add the treatment. So I'd actually want to go back to the calculator, edit that claim, and say this one's a 506 claim or this one's a 910 claim, and then they will be added right here in this section. So scrolling through here, again, you can generally tell information that's being pulled from the plan because most of the time it's going to be underlined. So that's a nice way to double check a lot of this stuff as well. Make sure that you've covered everything, and then also looking for those yellow highlighted areas. And then at the very bottom here, we do have the signatures and the dates, and you can either, we have the electronic signatures in here. You can leave them in if you'd like, or if you'd like your client to sign them, you can delete those out, export it to a PDF and print, and then they can save that as well. If at any time you're working on the plan and you want to, you can't remember how to edit something within it, we do have an editing guide. When you click on that, it takes you to our Help Center article, which kind of goes over a lot of the things I'm talking about today. So this is a nice refresher about renaming the plans. And then down here, a refresher on editing, as I mentioned with the brackets, how to create the check marks. And then we've got a video here as well. So you can, this is a quick access for that. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for the calculator and the plan. Okay, and then I see a question about the plan for Maryland on a cram down option. Absolutely. That should be in there, but I will test that out this afternoon, make sure the cram down option is available, and then I can message you directly if not, and see if it would get added in. But if at any time you have anything within the plan, you see that, maybe the treatment isn't working the way you think it should, or you can always edit it directly in there, but also send us a message. We'll take a look and work on that as well. There's a ton of plans, and within those, there's multiple trustees that like things treated differently as well. So we rely heavily on working with the courts and the trustees to make sure that these are good, and then any user feedback is helpful with that as well. And obviously, we always appreciate patience with it too, because of the new plans. Trying to get them all updated is a lot of information there. A plan about negative values. Send us a message about that. I would just need to see the specific plan. That's the best way to handle that. I would need to know, there's a lot of things that could apply to the property value, secured claims. So the best way to answer any specific claims is to send us a message in the chat. And usually Katie will direct those over to me. We can look in your plan. Katie can take a look too, and then we can see what it specifically is and help you out with that. Any other questions? Oh, I did want to show too, I'm not sure if anyone's on the webinar today that hasn't added this, but this is actually a package that's added on. So if you're working on a Chapter 13 case and you come to the section, if you haven't purchased the Chapter 13 plan package, you won't be able to access these sections. You would actually just see a video here showing you how to use it, and then a link to add it on if you'd like. If you did want to add it, it's an account add-ons. So we have the Chapter 13 plans here, and you would actually purchase per district. So it's $250 per district, and when I choose this, I can actually choose which plan I want to do. We have about 3/4 of the plans completed from the update from December. If you happen to purchase a plan that we don't have completed, let's see. Trying to see one. We will actually have that completed. We've got a note on here that will be completed within 30 days from the date of when you purchase it. We're actually working, we've been getting those done sooner than that. So I would say a week to 2 weeks, we can have those done for you. So if you didn't see it in here, just purchase it on. If you need it sooner than that, just send us a message and we'll see if we can get that completed quicker for you. Don't let that deter you from purchasing a plan. If it's something you need quickly, we can, we'll work with you to get that added in as soon as we can. Let's see, question about editing the plan. Oh yeah, so actually, Catherine, I see your question about the font. I recently worked with Ron on your plan and fixed that. So if you haven't gone in and regenerated the plan, we updated the font to a much larger size for your district. And then we updated the strange sections where the headers were being really small too. So if you generate the plan, go in today and generate a new one, that should be fixed. If you see anything, strange like that in there, afterwards, let me know, we'll get it updated, but I think we took care of that. Okay, well, I think that's it. I think I covered everything I wanted to today. I don't see any other questions right now, but again, if you had any specific case questions, please let us know. Like I said, there's a lot of data that goes into those. And then, we can, take a look on a per case basis and work out any, funky things in there or anything you may have missed or we may have missed. We'll work with you on that. Oh, no problem at all, Catherine. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's it. I hope everyone has a good long weekend.